Okay, this video is going to look at how to go about a color change on a mesh and how you're going to unify that across your course. Typically for color changes, I recommend utilizing something in the scene to sort of dictate the color palette for your course. So when we're looking at greens, maybe a nice tree, maybe a good pine, that's going to represent the darkest value in your course. So that's the darkest green. And then even that hue of that green, that color choice, is going to come off that. Is that a yellow green? Is that a blue green? And then sort of maybe even unify it with the settings. So maybe Florida might be sort of blue or greens. Maybe something in Canada might be yellow or greens. I don't know. But use something from your scene to sort of unify everything. And that's really going to help create some more realism. In this case, I'm just going to do straight color editing and sort of just discuss the material setup with you. Go ahead and pick a mesh. I usually recommend either fairway or T-box to start out with. Get that proper and then build outward from there. And so everything else outward from that is probably going to be slightly darker hues. The grass is growing longer. It's got more chlorophyll in it. It's going to be maybe a little greener or whatever it may be. But then as it gets too long, then it starts to die. So maybe as you get out into the rough or the deeper rough, maybe it does go some browns and whatnot. But ultimately, just kind of try to think of nature and how things grow, or even utilize some pictures from your own golf course or whatever it may be. But we've picked the OPCD Moss T here. I'm going to look at the Show Vertex Colors part here, Show Vertex Painting. That's going to tell me this is entirely Vertex painted red. Why do I need to know that? Well, there are going to be 4 different sections to change colors in, or material settings in, and we need to know what color is being represented here in the mesh. So this one's red, and we're only going to make changes to the red in order to see those here. So scroll up here, pick your OPCD Moss T material, and then that's going to take us directly to the material editing. I've got the inspector tab up here, and that's how I can see this. So let's scroll down to the section, channel texture setup, in the area of it that deals with color strength. So you're going to see these little swatches on the side. That allows you to change the color. If you just click on it, it's going to bring up this color choice tab for you. If you come to the bottom right of it, you can add a new preset. That's going to add this grayish color for me so that I can go back to it if I make a mistake or I don't like my changes. Now, if I change it, let's change this to red. It's going to change the overall color of that material. The color strength is going to say how much of that comes through. So it's at 0.85 right now. If we push it higher, we don't really see too much. It kind of peaks out on us here anyway. But you can get sort of varying strengths of this color, and that's going to be useful when we're dialing in different textures. So maybe we want to use this red as the same base color here that's going to come into our semi-rough, and I'm going to show you how to take that over there. And then it's just going to be a darker version of that for the semi-rough. So if you zoom out, you can see this color is maintained. There are 2 other sections where we can alter color strength as well, or sorry, color tint as well. And that's going to be your base color tint and your detailed color tint. Now, when the material is set up, you have to know there are 2 things generating the main look. The base is a texture underneath this, and that's coming from the base array, and that can have a color tint as well to it. Now, when we're doing more what I call a dual texture idea, which is we're not utilizing the satellite, you probably don't need to edit the base color tint or the detail to color tint. The detail, when you zoom in, is these grass bits. Now, imagine we're using satellite shader, where we're only going to want to see these grass bits up close. If we run it over top of the entire satellite, then it's going to skew the colors of the satellite. So when we do a satellite setup, instead of this detail distance at 5,000, and what this detail distance is saying is that at a distance of 5,000 meters, I always want to see the detail. And the detail is that grass bits. So let me go to the detail opacity and turn it off. So you can see I've turned off the grass bits. And so now you no longer see that. But when we have that visible, imagine this is that satellite setup, and we don't want the grass bits affecting the color of the satellite in the distance. So we change this to like 12. What that means is we're going to get that pure base look, until we get close, and then those grass bits show up. And that's the beauty of the satellite. And now maybe it's not perfect in terms of coloring, so you have to adjust that. But that's how the satellite works. It means when we're out here, we're going to see purely that satellite look. When we zoom in, we're going to get that detail to come over top of it. And so let's put this back at 5,000. And let's go ahead and alter our color. So let's go to more of a yellow-green. And so we're going to try to push some yellow over this. And then remember, I'm going to store it down here at the bottom. I like that. And then we're going to go to our semi-rough, and we're going to propagate this yellow change to our semi-rough as well. So I'm going to scroll down. That's also red channel here. You can check, remember, show vertex painting, hide vertex painting. And now we're going to come back and we're going to adjust that. So now the way I've got this one set up on the overall color strength, you can see that's not quite what I want. I want it to be a little darker. Let's not change the hue, but let's just change the color strength. So let's move this up to 1.5. Nah, that's too much. I'm going to just use the slider to get it to where I like it. I just want it to be a little darker. Okay, I like that. So now the only thing we have to do is update our changes to the rest, to the blend. So you can see this blend here is made up of the T and semi-rough. And right now it's still more that blue-green. If you go to any of the meshes and you click Update Materials, it's going to take that change and move it all the way across your course. So now we can see we're unified here, and then we can keep working out. So let's go to the fairway and edit it. Now the one thing you'll see here, this is a little different. This is just in the base project setup. You're going to see that the semi-rough is blending to the rough no-mow lines, and that's because you can only have one blend per in the set meshes setup. And so I'm going to show you how we're going to fix this to to match the fairway here. And so basically this semi is blending to the rough, and so that's correct for here, but obviously not going to be correct when it's touching fairway. So let's get our fairway to the color tint we want it to. And that might be a little too bright, so let's make this now up to 1. Maybe even go a little more. And so now I'm liking that, and we're going to update this material section, and you're going to see it's not going to change here, but it's going to change over here. So we've got a good fairway to semi blend. And remember, that was coming from your set meshes, so if you want to see where that was coming from, I had ran the default, but so our blend fairway is going to be fairway blending to semi. But this semi here, our blend semi, let's find that here, that's going to be semi blending to rough. So we have to create a new one. And so for this section, and if you had multiple sections surrounding by this, you can create it once and then you can just drag and drop into all those sections. So now what you look at, I'm blending from semi outward into the fairway. And so you can remember, you can check again, show vertex painting. The inner is red here, the outer is black, or to the left is black, hide that. And so this is correct, the source being semi, but now we need to blend it into that fairway. So we're going to find blend fairway, or it's not blend fairway, but our OPCD Moss fairway. And we're going to create a new blend for that. And it's going to create blend semi to fairway. And then you're going to see that's happy. And then anywhere in the course that you would have this, maybe on your tee boxes, you are going to have to go around and select them. And then you could just drag and drop your blend semi onto that. So you can't really have it too complex here. And so if you're doing something fancier, a little neater, that's how you would handle that. And so now let's just get our rough tidied as well, and then we'll be set for our color change all the way across the board. And I might like that a touch darker. Yep. And so I think that looks good. Cool.